This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Curaleaf, one of the fastest growing top multi-state legal marijuana operators in the United States. Swing over to curaleaf.com to learn more about Curaleaf, the company, and their publicly traded stock on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, March 7th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 680 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We kick off the day's news in Michigan, where yesterday state officials confirmed that a previously set deadline of March 31st for unlicensed medical marijuana provisioning centers, as dispensaries are officially known in the state, to close. Regular listeners should remember this long-running storyline, which has featured a bouncing deadline for when unlicensed medical marijuana businesses in the state are supposed to close down. That deadline is shifted around because it's mostly been the fault of the state itself for the low number of licenses given out. Another complicating factor in this one is the amount of legal licensed cannabis supply. Since there are not enough licensed cultivators yet, the state has had to push a deadline for when only fully tested cannabis could be sold. Yesterday, the state's Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs confirmed that any unlicensed business in Michigan will need to close down by the end of the month. One of the more positive changes also announced was that caregivers are now able to continue selling to dispensaries just as long as their product is tested. An earlier version of that rule was to have cut off caregivers entirely. Open up the Detroit Free Press for the full story here. Marijuana Moment's newest writer, Kimberly Lawson, jumped right into the top headlines with her first story as she picked up on a vote held yesterday in the Kentucky State House on a medical marijuana legalization bill. House Bill 136 was approved by a vote of 16-1 in the House Judiciary Committee and now heads over to the House Rules Committee, its last stop before a vote by the House at large. The bill would set up a taxed and regulated medical marijuana program and is co-sponsored by 43 of the 100 House members. As Kimberly is reporting, though, there are only 5 working days left on the Kentucky state legislative calendar, so time is of the essence. Our final top story today pulls us into the world of sports, where professional football player David Irving of the NFL's Dallas Cowboys was suspended indefinitely last week after failing a second drug test for marijuana within the past year. The hook that landed this one in our top stories today is the Instagram post that Irving posted up yesterday with an NFL logo festooned with marijuana leaves and the text, quote, "Hit me up when this passes," unquote, implying that he wasn't going to return to professional football until the league drops its current prohibitionary stance on marijuana use, which has been found to be particularly helpful for people whose jobs involve getting smashed up and driven into the ground on a weekly basis. Swing over and read this one. This storyline feels like a rumbling fault line for a bigger news quake to come. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 42 local dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 10 processing facilities, all serving more than 100,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Curaleaf spends a lot of time and energy on their research and development efforts, which has resulted in the formulation of a whole range of premium branded legal medical cannabis products, from oils for vaporizing to concentrates, tinctures, mints, capsules, edibles, and even flower pods for vaping. And because Curaleaf knows that marijuana typing is a little more complicated than just indica or sativa, they've rolled out strain-specific terpene profiles in all their facilities, so you can make your picks with more of the information needed to really hone in on the right product for you. You can learn more about all of the R&D work that Curaleaf does over at their website at curaleaf.com, spelled Curaleaf. And while you're over there, you can find the closest Curaleaf location to you and learn more about Curaleaf, the public stock, now traded up on the Canadian Securities Exchange. One more time, that's Curaleaf.com. All right, time for the Blitz. We pop back up to Michigan for a headline where yesterday the state announced some numbers for the first 4 months of licensed medical cannabis sales, which kicked off back in November. During those 4 months, Michigan's 54 licensed medical marijuana provisioning centers sold almost 8,700 pounds of cannabis for a total retail haul of $42 million, of which around $3.5 million have landed in the state's pocket from taxes and fees. The Canna blog takes an informed look at a storyline we've reported on recently here on The Daily, with a Maine-based coffee shop named Coffee by Design, or CBD, watching as their coffee trademark gets walked all over by marijuana-derived CBD. It certainly does not help any that there is also such a thing as CBD-infused coffee. As the Canna blog nicely points out, it's perfectly legal for a coffee shop, from a trademark point of view at least, to sell something it describes as CBD coffee, even though Coffee by Design has a trademark on the brand of CBD coffee. It's a subtle point best understood with a full read. This is a useful article not only to get caught up on this particular issue, but also to better understand how trademark laws work. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission is set to hold their monthly meeting today and is expected to approve 2 new adult use dispensary licenses. There are currently 10 adult use shops open in the Bay State, which legalized adult use via ballot measure back in 2016. The data and stats tracking giant Nielsen, perhaps best known for their TV ratings, just announced that it was partnering up with marijuana data and analytical company Headset on a new service that will track the sales performance of legal cannabis consumer packaged goods. Headset has a pipeline of dispensary point of sales data and will work with Nielsen to commercialize access for manufacturers looking for insights into sales and marketing. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper took the bold stance yesterday to proclaim an incredibly moderate policy on legal marijuana. Hickenlooper, who rose to political power as mayor of Denver before becoming governor, said that he did not think that marijuana should be made legal nationally, but rather should be simply descheduled away from Schedule 1. That conservative stance puts him at odds with nearly every single Democrat who is announced as a 2020 presidential candidate, most of whom have actually signed on as a co-sponsor to full-blown adult use legalization legislation. Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moments picked up on an interesting poll conducted by Quinnipiac University that found that 60% of Americans think that adult use marijuana should be made legal, and that 63% are in favor of expunging the criminal records of people with low-level possession charges. It's that second number that grabbed my attention today, as it bodes well for the future political chances of including criminal justice-related expungement provisions in legalization bills. If we really want to end the whole war on marijuana, we have to legalize everywhere, send everyone home from jail, and fix the harms wrought by years of prohibitionary policing. Expungement is certainly a part of that scene. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Cureleaf, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.